One of the biggest questions I often get about this project is, did the students really do all this themselves? Come on, didn't you really coach them through it, help them with the message? And the honest truth is I didn't. When we were first talking about the project, we had some general ideas, and I would tell them, you probably don't want to do this, you might want to think about how the audience handles that. But ironically, when we got down to the nuts and bolts of it, they very quickly made it clear to me that my ideas just weren't cool anymore. And as a result, I found my little part of the script got written out pretty quickly. But in truth, I was all right with that. It's been their message all along. My job as the teacher was to make sure that they didn't make any mistakes that honestly only age can bring, and to make sure that no childish errors crept into production. But the message is genuinely theirs. Whether we like it or not, kids today are getting opinions about education, and we may need to listen to them.
A little bit of freedom is good, and it can be really beneficial because when we go out of high school and into college, we're on our own and we don't have other people to rely on. And so by doing this, we're hoping that people will see that it's a good thing to let kids have some freedom.
To be voting for what the cause we're going to. The reason why we picked the name Education Evolution was because we wanted something that would show us and our cause. And the original reason why I thought it would be good was because just the day before we were talking about evolution in class and how it really was how things changed over time and how it got better and improved, and that's what we wanted education to do.
We wanted to see how far we could get this message out. That was the whole point of the project. But when we started doing it, we found out that there was more to just getting the message out. It was making everybody realize what our message was and how important it was to all of us. We realized that it wasn't a game anymore.
This video is important to me and our class because it not only gives us a chance to tell people what kind of change we need, but it gives us a chance to show them.
Line.
You got that.
Just the last part.
The project started when, during a discussion in Ender's Game, I asked the students a fairly open question. Well, do you think kids could, in fact, influence the world through using the internet, hiding their age, and having a message that was really worth sending? And at the time, I didn't really think that that question was going to launch anything galactic. But my students, as LEAP students do, figured the best way to solve this particular problem was to actually address the problem, attack it, make it work. So, well, as a teacher, my initial thought was, oh, that's going to be a lot of work. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Let's intimidate them with a huge list of things that would have to happen. And once I listed it, it took about 3/4 of the board to do, it was like throwing meat in front of wolves. Not only did they want to go after the project, they were motivated, they were interested. And things just kind of built from there. We decided what we wanted to say, how we wanted to say it. We started researching, well, how is this done? What are other successful videos and how do they work? How long are they? How can we get the message out? The amount of planning before we shot any film at all was absolutely huge.
So at first I was a little confused when they brought it up, like, what do you mean making a video go viral? But then I realized, no, it's more about the message.
One question that we got from a lot of people was, how in this form of a classroom would the teacher be involved? And one way that the teacher, of course, would be involved is to make sure that behavior is going well. But another thing they could do is just kind of listen into the conversation, see what people are talking about, and then if they think of something that might throw the group off a little bit, make them have to think a little bit harder, they could go over there, ask a question, and they'd be like, oh, I didn't think of that.
Well, first of all, our first idea was with this project to make something go viral. I think it has gone viral, and when we originally thought we'd have news stations coming to us to interview us, in which that is happening.
So when I was at the mall on Saturday, this guy came up to me and he was like, oh my god, I loved you in your video. And I was like, yeah, I know, I'm awesome, thanks.
Filming this video was an interesting experience. Each person of the group would have different ideas in their mind, and so we'd be filming, and so one person would say, stop, 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 what about this? What about this? What about this? And so they'd be spitballing ideas, but I was just kind of standing there with the camera thinking, what am I supposed to do? And I just wanted to be behind the camera, making that vision a reality. I wanted to have them see that they have this in their mind this idea, and I can film it and show it to them, and I love being able to do that. I love being able to create something with just this little piece of technology and make it into something real, and be able to film all these separate parts, and with the editors putting it together, and it's just, I love it.
Academic advancement as excellency, not by age, because being in a class with students who excel in reading and language and many other subjects, we should be allowed to learn what we want to, what we need to know, and not what we already know. We shouldn't have to be taught the exact same thing over and over again.
My favorite part of the video is the advancement by achievement block. I believe that it's something that's missing from today's system that needs to be there. I've spent a lot of time sitting in the back of classrooms bored, taking the most advanced classes offered and not getting anything out of it because I'm above the level that's offered.
Because, wait, I'm supposed to lose camera, they're both blinking! We decided to split it up into 3 sections because we needed to show the message throughout the video rather than just at the beginning, so it was less choppy and more smooth. It was a great transition between all the videos, and it was just a perfect way to start out. I really liked the intro because it was just a great eye-catching point of view of how everything has changed except for the classroom. And we really do need to change the face of the classroom because it's really not working.
So if you can imagine adults driving Model Ts down a highway, that is basically the system, except we are in a classroom that was designed over 100 years ago.
You know, I was with the conclusion group, and I think what we wanted to do with it was to make a final statement, and I think we really succeeded at that. We came up with our ideas together, we pitched them, and if they didn't work, then we would just say they didn't work. And it was great because it had a lot of collaboration.
What is she doing? Okay, so we're gonna have you start recording whenever she's on the L and Y of creatively, okay? Alright.
I like the idea that everybody in the classroom gets to actually collaborate and discuss their ideas, not just the people who want to raise their hand in class. So no, I don't raise my hand a lot, but that doesn't mean that I don't have anything to say. And a lot of classrooms now, they basically rely on worksheets or the people who want to talk all the time to lead the class, and you know, that leaves a lot of people out. So I chose the group because I like the idea that everybody's opinions can be heard all of the time.
I worked with structure of the classroom because it has a creative streak to it, and I really wanted to help create the new classroom for students to work in, and this just really kind of hits it home.
I hate the current system. I mean, I'm an energetic, hyper student. I don't get slack in this system. We're stuck in rows, can't talk, long lectures. I mean, I'm bored out of my mind. In our new system, I really like it. I'll get to like share my opinions with people, but with the system I'm stuck in, all I get to do is sit in rows.
We want more than a classroom and simple desks row by row. We want a healthy learning environment where we can all sit, communicate, come up with our own answers and opinions with still having organization and everyone just sort of working together.
I worked in the group that dealt with technology being used in the classroom, and the way I see it, today's generation of kids live around using technology. In schools, the only people you see that are on technology most of the time are the teachers, when really the kids should be on technology a lot because we know how to use it and we're basically experts in using technology.
We found through our feedback on YouTube and throughout the different websites that we also put the video on, that everyone was focusing on the technology aspect of it and not so much the other parts of the message. There's more to it.
It's like technology was, I guess, one of the most obvious changes you could say that needs to be made because, you know, there's so much out there that we don't use that could be useful in a classroom, but, you know, things like grouping people based on their learning ability and not on their age, that's important too, and that's something else we tried to convey in our message. You know, there's other things that are important to change in education, like the way the classroom is set up without desks and rows, and the way the teacher is able to teach kids, like, that's important too. It's not just about technology.
So I got to create the logo, and in other classes you don't really get to do any art. Maybe every once in a while you can doodle on a piece of paper, but like this time you could draw whatever you want and then create a logo, and it ended up everywhere. It was for a real life thing, and it was pretty awesome. You don't usually get to use your skills like that.
Editing is really not as easy as it looks. First of all, we had to upload all the clips from the camera into the computers, and that was no easy task. Then the machines themselves, the computers, took about half an hour to start up, and then the programs that we used to edit the whole thing together took about 15 more minutes. So in all, it took 45 minutes for the equipment to be ready to edit. Then we only had an hour and a half in every class, so we couldn't really get that much stuff done.
A lot of stuff in our video changed from when we thought about what we were going to do to when we actually put it all together. In our group, there were things that we had to cut from the video because we just didn't have the resources necessary as a middle school. So we're hoping that maybe if we can get more technology in the classrooms, then if any other school ever did this kind of project ever again, they might actually get to keep all of the scenes that we were able to do.
When we first started to do this project, we all thought of goals and what we wanted to achieve with it. At first, all we cared about was how big it would get and how many views we would get. And our teacher actually had this idea that we would get 1,000 views in an hour, which all of us secretly thought was very unrealistic. When it first happened, we ended up getting over 1,000 views in a day, and that was a really, really big achievement for us. And as we actually continued filming, we started to like the project itself, and we started to care for the project and not only how popular it got. And that eventually got to our district superintendent. And when he actually came to us and he discussed our project with us, he actually started tearing up a little bit. And that meant a lot to us because our goals went from if we could really pull this off to we did pull this off and it was worth it.
When we posted our video on the internet, we did receive mixed reactions. On one hand, we did get, yes, this is what kids need, the classroom has not changed. On the other hand, we also got a little bit of negative reaction, and this was helpful in the most part in just helping us to further develop our message as to this will work in the classroom and this will not.
I honestly thought that the video wasn't going to make it that far and that people weren't going to care about it. But I'm really happy with just how far it's gotten and how much feedback that we've had and just how far the message is getting spread out and how much it's going to change.
This project gives students a voice. This is the first time we've actually been able to talk to people and they don't look at us with contempt and say, "You're young." It's a way for us to get ideas out and hopefully change the way our society's run.
This was a cool project. I never done this. If this project goes well, we could change the whole world. Hopefully.